very happy to be spending my Friday late morning, early afternoon with my good friend Jamie Eisenberg. Two-man show. Adam and Jamie here for you on a bonus episode of Fantasy Football today with a lot of your questions via Apple Podcasts and email. Plus, we're doing some regulating today. Jamie, happy Friday, sir.
I've spent so much time with you this week. I feel like we're living together.
You're welcome. You're welcome for that. And I would like to thank you for Twitch last night when you brought your cousin Jesse Eisenberg on. It was a career thrill for me to kind of just chat with him for 15 minutes. That was awesome. I hope it was great for the Twitch followers as well. So thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I've done maybe 5 or 6 things, professionally with Jesse now. And that was one of the least formal ones. So it was fun. I thought you asked him some good questions, about himself, which, some of it was brought on by the Twitch users, subscribers. So that was cool. So thank you guys for watching and listening.
Yeah, and next time you see him, watch Die Hard with him, for goodness sake. Wow. All right, so we got news.
He never saw it.
Yeah, he's never seen it. He's young, though, right? Kind of young?
I think he's your age. How old are you?
Age? Okay. Well, all right. No excuse then. So we got news and notes, and we got your questions. Let's get right to it. First of all, Ron Rivera has cancer. Plans on coaching. Seems to be one that he can have under control, which is great. We wish him the best. We're sorry to hear the diagnosis, but we wish him the best. Absolutely. We're rooting for him.
What an absolute season it's been so far for Washington's football team, and it's not even week 1. I mean, yeah, obviously thoughts and prayers with him.
And on that subject, how convinced are you that Dwayne Haskins is going to be the week 1 starter?
I think the week 1 starter is probably safe. The 16-game starter, that's probably the bigger question, because I'm going to guess that they give him every opportunity to win the job. If there was preseason games, maybe Alex Smith has a chance to unseat him. But any sort of struggle where they feel like, maybe they have a chance to win or be competitive for the season, that's when maybe Alex Smith comes in. But what a story it would be if he's able to start, a handful of games for that team. You could basically pencil him in right now for the comeback player of the year.
But you don't buy the Kyle Allen knows the system could start.
No, I don't think Kyle Allen's going to start at all. I'd be very surprised if that's the case. Like, what do you gain by that?
Yeah, right. Detroit Lions senior writer Tim Twentyman said, quote, "It's expected that Swift and Johnson will share the backfield in a running back by committee approach. It should allow both players an opportunity to stay fresh."
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, again, I say this a few times, but I'll give you guys a peek behind the curtain. I do most of the programming for our HQ show. And I didn't even put this in the notes to talk about for us, because it just feels like a non-story, so I understand why you're bringing it up, because it's relevant, but we have more time here to dedicate to some of these things. I think they should share carries. Why would you not want to try and keep Kerryon Johnson fresh and work in the talented rookie that you have on the team?
All right, so you know what? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we fire through the notes and give me a quick reaction to everything? Jared Stidham on this Friday early afternoon has a leg issue, may not practice today. And Ryan Fitzpatrick missed practice for personal issues.
That's one I want to keep an eye on, because, any opportunity that they get to see Tua with the ones, maybe he's ready to go and they make a decision or fast track him to be the starter. So that's one to keep an eye on.
Tyreek Hill has a minor hamstring injury. So are you dropping him at all in your rankings?
No.
Okay. Bruce Arians said that Rob Gronkowski looks like he did 5 or 6 years ago.
That's great. Is he going to play him like the Patriots did 5 or 6 years ago? That's the bigger question right now.
Deebo Samuel may be ready for week 1.
Not buying it.
All right, but still, I think he's, based on where he's gone in our recent drafts, which is like 120th or later, massive steal, I think.
You are drafting him as a lottery ticket wide receiver. If he doesn't, I think the key is expect him to miss week 1. Go in with that mindset. PUP list is the question. If he's out 6 weeks, that's the range he should go.
Right. Okay. But if they're talking about him maybe being ready for week 1, shouldn't I be thinking, all right, maybe he'll be back in week 3 at the latest?
Yeah. I mean, it's sounding encouraging. They could not put him on the PUP list and he's still out 6 weeks. It's just a procedural thing. So I think round 8 is the earliest I would consider him in PPR. Round 10 is probably the sweet spot.
Okay. That's Deebo Samuel. Philadelphia rookie wide receiver John Hightower is having a good camp. He's a 5th-round pick. Jalen Reagor's having a good camp. Let me just say, the rookie
Jackson's having a good camp too.
Yeah, well, the rookie reports though, I mean, it's been very glowing, and that's not surprising. You obviously want to say good things about your rookies right now. For example, there's a report in The Athletic that Zack Moss's potential impact in Buffalo this year may have been undersold.
I'll stop on that one for a second, because we had the guy who wrote it is Joe Buscaglia. We had him on HQ with us, and he said Moss was going to be more of a complimentary guy. And so the fact that the way that he phrased it as more of an undervalued, undersold role, I wonder if that was his own sort of belief going in, that maybe Singletary, because he was glowing about Singletary when we had him on our show. And so I wonder if it was, let me see what Zack Moss can do before I oversell him. That I'm speaking for Joe. I hope I'm not speaking out of line.
What's your interpretation, right?
I expected Zack Moss to have a role, and so when he told me that, I was surprised. So I think, Zack Moss is one of my favorite mid-round, and I don't want to say late round because he's a single-digit guy, but mid-round players to target.
What do you think the carry split is?
60-40 Singletary.
Okay. And then when you get a bad report about a rookie, it should, I think, be slightly alarming. And this report from The Athletic about Justin Jefferson, not going great right now. He's number 3 at practice behind Adam Thielen and BC Johnson, and wasn't exactly dominating against the second teamers, I guess. So that's got to, at least for me anyway, that's a bit of a red flag for Justin Jefferson.
Your guy.
Yeah.
I think you should approach Justin Jefferson as a long-term play, not a short-term play. This is a guy that if you're going to draft, understand you may drop him early on, but there's still a big opportunity here. And so I also look at it as there was a report a couple of days ago which is what we expected, Jefferson to be the slot guy. Well, they need another outside guy, and that's BC Johnson.
Right.
So even though he's playing with the 2s and 2 receiver sets, and they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, I expect, Jefferson to eventually, take advantage of some opportunities there. And keep in mind, he was on the reserve COVID list. So he's really working his way back into, being part of the team.
Jamie, in case anybody's drafting this weekend, which ordinarily would be happening in great number, but it seems like people are waiting longer this year. Are there any training camp risers so far that you think need to be on people's radars and drafts, need to be drafted?
In a 15-round draft?
Yeah, 15,
or
16.
Because there's a couple guys that, late round picks. Brian Edwards has certainly improved his stock for a late round pick in a deeper league. Scott Miller, if you're talking about really deep drafts. But I think, we've talked about this a little bit. I know I mentioned on Twitch last night, but Bryce Love, clearly, Damian Harris, clearly, those guys are putting themselves in position to be in good spots. I've talked a lot about Joshua Kelly and have kind of ignored Justin Jackson personally, but I've put those guys closer together. I'm still taking Kelly first because I think the long-term play is Kelly, but the short-term play is looking like Jackson. So, those type of players I think are in the conversation from what we've heard from training camp.
Yeah, and Paris Campbell gets drafted.
And Michael Pittman.
Okay, yeah.
Both guys.
I'm just trying to look. Do you know who the Chargers play week 1?
They play the Bengals.
Oh, so that's a great chance for Justin Jackson to score a touchdown if he's got that role.
I will say this: the front 4 for Cincinnati is going to be nasty.
The front 4 for Cincinnati, really, is it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get on with the show. We had an email from Patrick, a revelation about the Green Bay quarterbacks. Do you realize the Green Bay quarterbacks are A-Rod and J-Lo? Thank you, Patrick, for enlightening us. Now, Patrick and the rest of you listeners out there, do you shop online? Of course, you shop online. Everybody shops online, especially now. What if I told you that when you buy things online, you can have a special little helper just giving you promo codes to save you money? Here's a promo code. You go to this website, here's a promo code, saving you money. You don't even have to do anything. Very, very minimal anyway, what you have to do. All you have to do is buy stuff, and before you check out, you get the promo codes to save you money, and it's all for free, and that little helper is Honey, which I've been using for, probably a couple of years now. Go to joinhoney.com/FFT. Joinhoney.com/FFT. You install the Honey browser extension in seconds, and that's it. Then you're done. It's a free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best ones it finds to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online. So this could be tech and gaming products, could be fashion brands, could be food delivery. I'll give you some examples. I bought a big sports poster a few weeks ago. I saved at least $10 with Honey. I buy cat food for my cat, obviously. I save money with Honey. I got dinner delivered last week. Saved money with Honey. About $5 on that. And there's no reason not to use it. It's free, and it's found that over 17 million members have saved over $2 billion with Honey. So if you don't have Honey already, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast, by the way. So get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/FFT. That's joinhoney.com/FFT. We start with Apple Podcast questions. This is from Vnal Star. What's up, Craig, Smokey, Debo, and Big Worm?
Friday.
Oh, nice. Never seen it. Yeah, no, that's bad. I have the 11th pick in both my drafts. Would you stick to the same strategy or try to make your teams as different as possible?
Are they both the same format? I'm going to guess we don't know the answer to that, right?
Right.
So if they're both the same format, I would probably try and switch it up a little bit, especially since you're going to get 4 picks in the top 15. So why not, take at least, try and take maybe a different combination of players, especially if you're, sort of, let's say, torn on Mixon, Jacobs, Chubb, Henry, Julio, Tyreek, switch it up a little bit just to, have a little bit of variance. But, I think we talked about this on Twitch, maybe, that if you have a strong conviction on a player, it's not that bad to do it. But as you pointed out, maybe the early players is where you want to have a little bit of difference.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Travis Kelce on one of those teams.
Sure. Not a bad option also.
This is from Jay Becci in a Minnesota city with the best water in America.
Minneapolis.
Apparently Duluth, according to Google. That
sounds like a water place.
Duluth? Yeah, you're right. I could see a nice bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dear Rio, Tokyo, Moscow, the Professor, and Denver. This is Money Heists. Don't know what that is either. I'm in a 12-team PPR Superflex Dynasty Startup salary cap draft. What is your salary cap strategy for a Dynasty startup? It's Superflex, it's PPR, it's Dynasty, it's Startup, and it's salary cap, which is what we're calling auctions now, by the way. Salary cap leagues. What's your strategy?
For me, it's probably going to be the same, where I want to get as many good borderline number 1, number 2 players as I possibly can. But if you're in the mindset of you want to have 1 or potentially 2 studs, then spend the money on that. But, I think your objection should be objection. No, your objective.
Objective, Your Honor.
Your objective should be to try and see how many guys you can get that are going to have roles in 2021 at cheaper options. So the AJ Dillons, the T Higgins, Well,
how about all of the rookie wide receivers? You could go heavy. Sure. This was a really good rookie wide receiver class. You could get CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy and Jalen Reagor and Henry Ruggs, maybe 3 of those 4 for the same price that Michael Thomas might go for.
Potentially.
I don't know how that would work.
Well, I think the higher end guys are going to go a little bit more expensive than you think. The bigger name guys, the higher draft pick guys.
The higher name rookies, you mean?
Yeah, Jeudy and Lamb and those guys. I'm looking more at the guys you can maybe get at cheaper prices. We spent some time a little while ago talking about guys that, may have bigger roles in 2021. So you're going to spend more in a startup dynasty draft on J.K. Dobbins, a startup dynasty salary cap league on J.K. Dobbins than you would on a redraft salary cap league on Dobbins, because he could be just an absolute stud next year.
And some people punt first year. If you think this dynasty league is going to, I'm not saying you should do this, but you could. If you think the dynasty league is going to be around for a while, you got a dedicated group. Some people kind of tank week 1 and take all rookies and all long-term upside plays and just try to set themselves up to have an incredible, I think I might have said week 1, I meant year 1, incredible rookie, incredible dynasty team for the future.
I'll give you an example of that. The dynasty league that Heath started, we're now entering year 4. That was actually my approach on the draft, and it's just how funny how dumb luck has worked out. I had pick 11. pick 11. My first pick in round 1 was Des Bryant because I thought, I'm gonna go big and try and win this year. You know what my round 2 pick was?
Who?
Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
now look how that's worked out.
Good job. Yeah, you never know. All right, let's go to our next Apple Podcast question from Camera Guy 14. I'm keeping Miles Sanders, Keenan Allen, and Zach Ertz. I have the number 2 pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will probably go number 1. So I'm looking at Bell, Connor, Gurley, Galladay, Juju, or Cooper. Who should I take? Bell, Connor, Gurley, Galladay, Juju, Cooper.
And who are the players that they're keeping in?
Sanders, Allen, and Ertz.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with the receivers. So I would take either Juju or Galladay.
From Joe from Indianapolis, can you talk me through your running back strategy from the 2 spot?
Well, Adam hates this pick, so I guess I'll answer.
No. If Aaron Jones makes it back to me at 23, then I love it. But he doesn't. So then that screws up my running back strategy.
Well, it depends. I mean, our pick-by-pick series, as we went over yesterday, I got Aaron Jones at 24.
So you did, because Heath likes James Conner a lot and took Connor. Almost.
You're saying that would be Aaron Jones. I get it.
Yeah, most people would take Aaron Jones. But that's it. Look, maybe some people are taking Mahomes and Jackson there instead. Like, we don't. And Aaron Jones does fall. So he's just a really important player. If I can get one of the top, I think it's 12. What's Jones for you, 12?
14.
Oh, it's 14? Okay, so yeah, if there's a second...
We typically see 14 guys go in the first round.
All right, so if there's a second running back in the top 14 available, 23rd overall, then I'm thrilled. It just never happens, basically, in my drafts.
We're also in half and non-PPR higher on Eckler. He typically falls to this range.
Oh, that'd be great.
Right. So, it depends on what you're looking for. Drake is going to fall closer to this range.
All right. So, Jamie, let's say you don't get a second top 14 running back. Let's say Connor, Gurley, Gordon, Bell, that group is the best, and you took Saquon Barkley second overall. What's your running back strategy?
So then I take the mindset of I'm taking the 2 best wide receivers, and that's going to be the group of DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. That's on the higher side.
Juju, Galladay,
right? The Rams guys, Robinson, depending on format.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take 2 of those guys, and then it's rounds 4 and 5, and you got to be comfortable with the next group of backs that are going to be there. Ronald Jones, Devin Singletary, David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, and I try and take 2 of those guys, so if I can come away with 2 top 12-ish wide receivers, one of the top 2 running backs in fantasy, which is typically going to be Barkley, and then 2 guys that are borderline top 24, I'm fine with that.
Okay. This is from Kyle. Would you rather keep Darren Waller or Dak Prescott in the 7th round?
In a PPR league, I would rather keep Waller. In non or half, I'd probably go with Prescott.
From JB3CHY. 12-team PPR Superflex Dynasty startup this year. It is a Superflex, as I mentioned. There's a reward for winning 2 years in a row. What would your... This is very similar to another question I read. So...
What do you do to
this is startup dynasty.
Well, I guess with a Superflex, the last one wasn't Superflex. Right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that was.
It was the same question, I'm sure, Adam.
Yeah, it seems very similar. Just don't know if it was... Okay. Well, sorry, we already answered that. From Edward. I have the 4th pick in a 12-team PPR league. I really want to take Michael Thomas, but should I go with Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry instead?
I would go with Alvin Kamara for sure.
From BS Entertained. 12-team PPR snake draft, 11th pick. So I have 11 and 14, and then I pick again in the end of round 3. I love DJ Moore. I feel like he's going to be gone late round 3. Can I justify DJ Moore with the 14th pick?
I mean, if you have that strong a conviction on him, I think, I don't want to speak for them, but I believe Ben and Heath have him near 5 overall.
Yeah.
At receiver.
Yeah.
So assuming the top 2 guys are gone in Thomas and Adams, which they certainly should by the time you even get to 11, and there's a chance Julio or Tyreek go as the 3rd or 4th receiver off the board, you're not reaching that much. You're just passing up on probably some good running back talent there. So, but if you have that strong a conviction and you're not sold on the non-pass catching running backs, Jacobs, Mixon, Chubb, Henry, then sure, take him at 14.
This is from Kevin Jeffrey in Riverview, Michigan.
But I also think you should gauge. Maybe he does get back to you in round 3.
Yeah, it's possible. That's why I probably wouldn't do it, just because he might get back there. Kevin Jeffrey in Riverview, Michigan. My quarterbacks are Cam, Cousins, Locke, and Darnold. I could redshirt Tua this season. Which 2 should I dump to address other needs? Cam, Cousins, Locke, and Darnold.
Is it drop 2 of those guys?
I guess so. This is Dynasty, obviously.
Yeah, I would hate to drop Drew Lock because of what he might become.
I would hate to drop any of them.
Right. I mean, first off, I try and trade. If you have that many quarterbacks, somebody could probably use a backup.
Yeah.
You know what? Guess... Though? I may be dropping Cousins.
Yeah, but now he's got to drop 2 of them. If Cousins has the least amount of dynasty appeal, I'd say. But he's probably your safest starter. Yeah, I know. You're in trouble, bro. Make a trade. All right, sorry. For the love of football, wants to keep 2. $200 budget. Mahomes for $4, Sanders for $6, Chubb for $7, Metcalf for $2, and Kareem Hunt for $2. Who would you keep?
I lean towards Sanders and Chubb just because the value is so good.
Okay.
But it's hard to throw back Metcalf at $2.
Sanders for sure, right?
Yeah, I would probably Sanders and Chubb for $13. That's pretty fantastic.
Good. Jerry from Salem, Oregon. Who are you targeting and getting a lot of in rounds 6 and 7?
The wide receivers would be that's where Will Fuller comes into play for me. Marquise Brown comes into play for me. Tyler Boyd's in that range. Michael Gallup's in that range. Those would be the wide receivers. The quarterback typically would be, whoever's left of the Super Six. Typically for me, it's Watson because of drafting with all you guys. But Murray or Wilson will be there. I don't think we'll see Prescott there. And then the running backs are typically that group that I just mentioned before. Montgomery, Ronald Jones. It's weird because in drafts with us, Ronald Jones gets pushed up. Dave usually takes him early, or you take him. Ben takes him. George Maselli takes him. There's a handful of our guys that like Ronald Jones, certainly in round 5, and I would draft him in round 5 myself. But I think round 6 he'll be there. Singletary, Montgomery, like I said, Kareem Hunt. Those are typically the backs, and then the tight ends. That's a good spot for if you're so inclined for the Waller, Ingram, Hunter Henry group. I wouldn't take Tyler Higbee that soon.
This is from Angry Pete Pablo. Dear Tammy, and Ron. All right, everybody. Here's your chance to hate me again. I love Parks and Rec. I think it's an all-timer. So I just want to say that. Season 7, the final season, was awful. I don't know how people feel about it, but it was like homework. It was like, I have to watch this just because I felt like I made a commitment. That's a brutal season, but a great show. So please don't hate me for that. I have the number 1 pick. I'm often going with McCaffrey, Mahomes, and Kelsey or Kittle, and then 4 straight wide receivers. Is this crazy? Should I fade the QB and tight end position for more depth at running back?
But this is kind of what we got back to with the Barkley conversation, right? So the running backs that you're looking at the 2-3 turn aren't great.
Yeah, especially if Kelsey and Kittle and Mahomes are all there, then probably means there was a run on running backs.
So let's assume Kelsey's not there, right?
Yeah.
Because that's probably a stretch. So it said 12 team or 10 team? Because that maybe
I don't know.
So a 10 team, it may come into play, but let's assume 12 team. So you go Mahomes, Kelsey, Mahomes, Kittle, DJ Moore. Who other receivers?
So I can tell you, I can tell you from the flex draft that we did. I'm wearing the T-shirt, by the way.
Okay.
I had the first pick, and I took McCaffrey, and then I took Kittle, and I took Juju. Mahomes was on the board. That league is a little bit different because you have to start more running backs and wide receivers. There are 2 flexes. Makes quarterback a little less valuable. I don't think I would have taken Mahomes there over Juju anyway, but I wouldn't have minded that start. I mean, I honestly feel like if you go McCaffrey, Kittle, Mahomes, yeah, okay, so you might be a little weak at running back or receiver, whatever, but you have elite players. It's fun. I mean, I would love to try that out and see how it works.
But again, that's, you got to be comfortable with, and I am. I think you probably are. I know Heath and Ben are. Dave is not. Your 2 starting running backs are potentially Montgomery, Singletary, Ronald Jones.
Well, no, you have McCaffrey.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
Well, the one thing I wouldn't do though
your
is
second back.
I wouldn't go 4 straight wide receivers. I would take maybe 3 receivers and a running back. I would love, like I did. I have Devin Singletary in that league.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's, we got a couple more Apple Podcast questions. Then we have emails from Aunt Silva 999. Oh, this is fun. I laughed at this one. We can laugh at this, but maybe don't take this example too seriously. Best fantasy football pod. I advise everyone to listen if they want to win their league. To be honest, I never talk about this pod to my friends because then they will steal my edge. In fact, I spend a lot of time talking about how CBS gives bad advice and persuade my league mates to not listen. I'm a terrible person, but it works, kind of like a reverse jinx. All right, that's a little extreme, but we appreciate the kind of support. And we have an origin story from Lucas North, who is in our Twitch league, by the way. I was a basketball player through school and never woke up early enough on Sundays for football. And being an LA homer, the teams that had left the city during my adolescence. When my son was born in 2010, I was 22 years old. All my hobbies had crashed and burned. My friends, who had all dispersed across the country, had this idea to start a fantasy league. I didn't want to at first, but out of spite against a friend, I decided to play just to pick players from his favorite team, the Chargers. We played each other week 1, and I beat him by 2 points, and it was on. I would spend the following years pushing my kids in the strollers, laughing at your friendly banter, touchdown there, and at people thinking Die Hard was a Christmas movie. It's not. Just wanted to say thanks for the decade of your useful and entertaining content, guys, and being with me during the tumultuous and beautiful seasons of life and football. Would love to beat you all in the Twitch League, and he's in it. And if not selected, you guys are still the greatest, even Heath. So I thought that was a nice Apple Podcast review, and I thank you very much for that, Luke. And thank you to everybody, by the way, for all of your emails and all of your support on Twitch and it's just overwhelming. The Facebook group, Twitter, Ask FFT, by the way, is the hashtag you want to start using on Twitter. Thank you to everyone out there. We're going to do regulators. Jamie's going to hop off in like 10 minutes. We'll do regulators at the end of the show. We got one issue to regulate. Shraggy B is going to join me at some point. But Jamie, let's see how many emails we can get you through. This is from Jonathan. How come there is no Dallas Goedert breakout hype?
I just don't know if he could break out with the receivers that they've added. If Hightower's getting buzz and Rager's getting buzz and Jackson's getting buzz, and at some point Jeffrey's going to come back and Ertz is still there, where is he breaking out? So this is by the way, he's a great buy in a startup dynasty league.
Right.
If they don't pay Ertz.
Who would you pay more for in a startup dynasty league, Ertz or Goddard?
Whew. I wouldn't pay for Ertz. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. Let someone else do that. From Nick, I understand the arguments against Austin Hooper this season, but I'm seeing him fall way down the board in mock drafts. While he may not have the upside he had last year with the Falcons, I've been able to get him as a backup tight end in round 10 or 11. That kind of discount for Hooper seems crazy to me for someone who put up the numbers he did last year. What do you think?
I think that's a smart move to get him as a second tight end. I've taken the approach a couple of our recent drafts of targeting one of the young upside guys that I like and pairing them with either Hooper or Cook, just to see, you kind of know what you're going to get with Hooper and Cook. You just don't know where the ceiling's going to lie with those guys. I referenced this a few times. Nathan Zagura joined us on HQ, our former colleague here at FFT. And he said, Hooper's numbers are going to come down. Just hard to imagine them going up. But he said the touchdowns could still be, in the 7-8 range. And if the yardage is not tremendously bad, then he's going to, still be in that top 12 conversation. I just think the tight end position, it's a risk. But the guys basically, after Gronk on anybody's rank list, Gesicki, Fant, Jonnu, Jarwin, Herndon, all these guys, throw Goddard in there if you want to, can be great. And that's where I think where Hooper and Jared Cook belong. So there's a group of like 10 to 20 that could all have good seasons. Irv Smith, especially with Justin Jefferson struggling, those are guys that I think you look for.
I took Fant and Hawkinson in a mock draft yesterday.
Hawkinson, yeah, great one too. 2
late picks. Hopefully one of those guys breaks out. It's a mock draft, but I would have done that in a real draft. The question is, how much patience are you going to have if they don't get off to blistering starts?
Just depends who's available on waivers.
Yeah.
I think if you see Jack Doyle sitting there and he gets off to a good start, Herndon, I don't think is going to get drafted to the level I think he could perform at.
In all likelihood, if I drafted 2 tight ends, I'd drop one of them for a different position, because there's going to be hot wide receivers and running backs on waivers. Probably what I do.
Right. But the last thing you want to do is, and this probably happened to a few people, drafting TJ Hawkinson, maybe listening to what we said about Mark Andrews and Darren Waller. And I don't remember what those guys did in week 1, but you weren't dropping Hawkinson after week 1.
Yeah. No, I think they both had good week 1s. I can double check on that. This is from Marshall.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best example because all 3 guys probably did well to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, week 1 for the Ravens was that Dolphins game, and I think Waller did well too. From Marshall, dear Sean, LaDainian, Phillip, and Antonio, those are Chargers, 14-2 Chargers. Do you think Curtis Samuel could be a post-hype sleeper?
He can. I got asked this question. I did the Fantasy Pros. They're, I think they called it Podathon. They were on the air for like 10 hours yesterday. And they asked me who I thought was better of the 2 non-DJ Moore guys. And, we had Joe Person of The Athletic, covers the Panthers on HQ. And he said that Samuel is not just going to be the downfield guy anymore. He's going to run a lot of underneath routes and stay closer to the line of scrimmage as more of a slot type receiver. And I think we could see his numbers certainly bounce back from last year. He was the biggest victim of the quarterbacks, so he struggled with, just uncatchable balls all over the place for the Panthers last year. So, he's somebody that I have at the end of my top 60. And, when we get to those wide receivers that you're looking at rounds 12, 13, 14, that's not a bad option at all.
All right, here we go, Jamie. Let's knock out as many as we can before you have to leave for HQ, which is live noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. Check it out. This is from Trevor. Can you dive a little deeper on Fournette? All right, we're not going to be able to go as deep as we want, but yeah, I think people think we might be too low on him. What do you think?
I think round 4 is the perfect spot for him. I would not draft him in round 3. I would love to get him in round 5.
Okay, this is from no name here. Dear AJ, Troy, Antonio, and Marquise. Those feel like wide receivers. Oh, Browns. The Browns. There we go. And they are wide receivers. How viable is a 0 wide receiver strategy? Couldn't you load up on 7 to 8 running backs, almost guaranteeing you one or two will hit, and then draft someone like Edelman, Crowder, Shepard to give you a safe floor? Okay, maybe this is a 10-team league because you're not getting Edelman and Crowder in round 9. Well, actually, not getting Edelman.
Non-PPR. You might non-PPR.
Maybe. I don't know. 0 wide receiver. What do you think?
Well, Heath did that, not to this extent, in our pick-by-pick thing that we went over on our last show. And he started 3 straight running backs with Barkley, Carson, and
Connor.
And then his top wide receivers were T.Y. Hilton, Keenan Allen, and Julian Edelman. And so that's not a bad route if you get 3 guys like that. But yeah, if you're waiting that long, the thing you got to do if you do that is Will Fuller, Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson, all these guys that have huge upside, and just understand that it could have a very, very bad floor based on what we've seen from the potential of some of those guys.
Pete from Seattle, are you more inclined to take a later round high upside pick on a wide receiver or a running back?
It depends on how my roster looks. Like, again, Fuller, Johnson, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Reagor, those type of guys I think are certainly worth taking chances on. But at the same time, Darrell Henderson, Zack Moss, Bryce Love, Damian Harris, those guys could, if they get the opportunity to start in their backfields, Alexander Madison, Chase Edmonds, those type of guys could be amazing. Taylor
from Georgia wants to know why he should take Saquon Barkley number 2 instead of Ezekiel Elliott.
It's a matter of, I guess, personal, feeling. Hopefully, again, the Cowboys' offensive line is going to be good. Lyle Collins got in a car accident yesterday. He's expected to be fine. Tyron Smith left practice. I haven't seen an update on him. And if Travis Frederick, as we know, is gone, that's 3 key members of that line that are missing. Barkley is going to be more involved in the passing game, I expect. I was shocked to see our projections on Sportsline have Zeke for 72 catches. That would be amazing if that happens. But, it's like 2A and 2B. They're both exceptional. I think in PPR, Kamara is actually better than Zeke because I think he's going to have more receptions. And he could get back to scoring, 15 touchdowns.
Okay. And finally, for Jamie, we'll keep it going with Ben. Daniel from Indianapolis. Which rookie wide receiver will see the most targets in 2020? I say CeeDee Lamb. My friend says Justin Jefferson. Settle the debate. Which rookie wide receiver gets the most targets in 2020?
I mean, at this point, you'd probably say it's Ruggs or Reagor, just given some of the hype for those guys. But if I had to pick one, I would probably I'm going to go Ruggs.
Ruggs, okay. All right. Yeah, those are the two that came to mind. You want to be in a high volume offense that's going to throw a lot. So there's that. The Vikings are not that. But
no, but you have some circumstance like Ayuk if Samuel's out for the 6 weeks or has a relapse with his injury.
Yeah.
Again, not a high volume offense, but if he's we had this conversation. I know Dave says 4 guys could get over 100 targets as a rookie. There's been 4 rookies that have gotten over 100 targets. I forget what the season was. So it's not going to be a huge number of targets. The number you're hoping for is like 90.
90 targets. Yeah, that'd be
right.
Great.
And we saw that from Metcalf, McLaurin.
The rookie wide receivers last year did not get a lot of targets, and they did well even without that. They were on very run heavy offenses, the best rookie wide receivers. I don't know what the targets were, but
AJ Brown was under 100, McLaurin was under 100, and
yeah, none of them got to 100.
And Metcalf were under 100. Metcalf would have gotten to 100. I think he missed the game, right?
No, he did not. McLaurin missed 2.
McLaurin would have been the one.
I think McLaurin may have been on pace for like 105, something like that.
Yeah.
But I could be so wrong about these numbers. These are all off the top of my head. Jamie, thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure, Adam.
Yes.
I hope to not speak to you again until Sunday.
Yes, 2 full days of not speaking to me, which won't be true. We'll be texting and talking fantasy baseball and things like that.
That's right.
That's Jamie. All right, Ben, get your butt on here.
What is up?
There he is, Shaggy B. All right, I got 2 emails for you and then regulators. Here we go. This is a tough one. From Garrett. Who wins this trade in a half PPR dynasty league? Team A, Amari Cooper and Will Fuller. Or Team B, Mike Evans?
Evans and Cooper are very, very close for me in Dynasty. Fuller kind of makes it an even deal, but I also see in the email I'm looking to deal Cooper since I also have Michael Gallup. So I'm taking this deal. Give me Mike Evans so I can pair him with Gallup and get rid of Cooper and Fuller.
Yeah, Cooper might not be on the Cowboys in 2021. The deal was structured in a way that I think makes it sort of easy for them to get rid of him, which might not be a bad thing. But I tend to decide with Evans too, and that's interesting. All right, this last one is from Trevor, from a city 2 hours northeast of Detroit. I believe the city was in Canada, and I don't really know that many Canadian cities, so I'll just say Toronto, which I know is not the answer. Dear Adam, Morton, Gary, Jason, and John.
No clue.
Those are some of the best kickers ever, Shaggy B.
Morton Anderson,
Gary Anderson, Adam Vinatieri, Jason Elam, John? I should probably know this. Yeah, John Wick. Can you explain why you hate kickers without saying it's just too random or some variation of that? We stream DST, we play wide receiver 2 and 3 based on matchup. We even stream quarterback, but there's never talk of streaming kickers. My thought is that every advantage counts, and that includes kickers.
I agree with the streaming kickers, and I don't hate kickers as much as Heath does. There are certain things you can look at with kickers. You want a team that's going to be scoring a lot that day. A lot of times there's a passing yards correlation with field goals kicked, but it is super random, so it makes it tougher to stream than a defense. But in my kicker mentality is get a stud like Will Lutz or Harrison Butker, or stream kickers, if you want to call it that, and get a guy with a good matchup. But it is very, very difficult to predict and super random. So yeah, didn't want to use that as an excuse, but it's just how football is. It's very random.
I think it's ridiculous. Just play with kickers. This whole ban kickers, I think it's childish and doesn't really make any sense. And I cannot figure out who the John is. John Carney? John. I'm looking at the career leaders in. John Carney would be the best. John Casey?
I
don't know. Whatever. Well, we're almost done. I loaded some new sounds into my mixer. We have the Heath size. We have the compilation. That was it.
This is just how we want to start our Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and then we have Regulators, the new version of the Fantasy Regulators. Oh, yeah! Here we go. Sorry, I'm just dancing. This is from Adam in a Canadian city north of Seattle. Let's go with Vancouver. Dear Sandler, Wainwright, Vinatieri, and Scott. Those are Adams. I'm in a keeper league with nearly 10 years of playing in the league together. We have an issue with how our draft order was set. When setting the order, I posted a live video revealing the draft order in our group chat. After all 10 picks were already set, I noticed that the name Mac was entered twice instead of one Mac and one Matt. The name Mac got both the first pick and the fifth pick. So now there is a majority of the league saying only the first and the fifth pick need to be redrawn between Mac and Matt, where another league mate is calling a void draft lottery and a complete redo, saying that an illegitimate draft lottery calls for an entire redo of draft order. So, Ben, would you only redo picks 1 and 5 between Mac and Matt, or would you redo the entire draft?
Yeah, you're just redoing those picks. One of them was supposed to be Mac, and one of them was supposed to be Matt. So you randomize those. You could probably do something fun with it. It doesn't just have to be a randomizer or a flip of a coin, but it's just those 2 picks.
Oh, yeah, Shraggy B. Way to lay it down. And that's how we're getting into the weekend. It is so obvious. Okay, the one person who wants a redraft of the entire draft is obviously unhappy with where he's picking.
He has the 7th
it's
pick.
A he.
He hates it.
No, I think he has the 10th pick. Did you say 7th for a reason, or were you just guessing?
I just don't like the 7th pick.
Oh, no, he has the 10th pick. Yeah, come on. So relax. Mac and Matt will settle this. Make them do something fun to settle it, I'd say. And we're out of here, everybody. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you either Sunday night or Monday morning with our next podcast. For Ben Schrager and Jamie Eisenberg, I'm Adam Azer. Have a great weekend. See you later.
Want more of the Fantasy Football Today podcast and nonstop year-round fantasy advice? It's simple. Hit the subscribe button and hang with us all throughout the year.